Hey everybody, welcome to what I hope to be a new show on this channel where we talk about music and classic video games. Now this isn't trying to be a true top 5 list or any kind of deep dive into the compositions. I'm just picking 5 games at random that I hope you'll enjoy and that'll stimulate a little conversation. Now there are no real rules for this list, I just picked 5 things at random that are hopefully not on every NES top 5 list and that are from different franchises and developers. So enough blabbing, let's get to the music. First up, we have Arkista's Ring that was developed by NMK and released on the NES in 1990 by American Sammy. It's a fun arcade-style action title starring an elf character named Christine. This isn't the most impressive or complicated composition on the NES or even on this list, but I've always appreciated it for a different reason. It might be one of the most chill and relaxing NES soundtracks. I don't think it would feel out of place on some chill vibe stream with an anime character sipping coffee as it rains. Don't get me wrong though, it still feels like the fantasy setting is trying to convey. Very minimal use of the noise channel for some occasional snare sounds and a staccato but lilting and echoing melody paired with a very pulled back and clean toned bass line for harmony. Credited to Taishiro Okamura, this is the first song you would hear when jumping into the game. Shifting gears completely, we have the very impressive soundtrack to Bucky O'Hare, a late-era NES game that certainly hits the ground running with what the NES can produce in terms of sound. Released in 1992 by Konami and composed by Tomoko Sumiyama, each track in this game is an earworm. Very dense rock-style compositions that are percussion-heavy, and I'd imagine using more than just a noise channel for that, with a lot of driving force behind them. Lots of reverb on the main melody and likely duplicated to create the harmonic chord structure with a driving and warm bass line. This game has you on an exciting, important mission to protect the galaxy from the evil Toad menace, and these are very high energy compositions that are certainly conveying that message. Let's listen to the track for the Green Planet, probably my favorite of the soundtrack. Battle of Olympus is certainly most famous for being heavily influenced by Zelda 2, and that weird and confusing way it was advertised in tandem with the Guardian Legend.
Now experience Guardian Legend. Experience Battle of Olympus. Battle of Olympus is the...
Developed by Infinity and released in the US by Broderbund in 1989, is a charming game despite a few problems and leaning on Zelda 2 a bit much. The music was composed by Kazuo Sawa and takes a very classical or Baroque approach for many of the tracks. But that doesn't mean you don't get any of those fun, very NES-style tracks. Up-tempo melodies driven by a shuffle beat using the noise channel, with minor and dark tones when they need to be and more bright the rest of the time, is a very mixed bag of a soundtrack, but certainly in a good way. During this time I'm playing the title track simply called Battle of Olympus, but let's listen to the contrast with the track Attica. Kabuki Quantum Fighter was probably the first video game I was just confused about. The weird plot and hair-fighting mechanics were certainly unique. Developed by Human Entertainment and published by HAL, it hit US shores in 1991. The style of action platforming certainly wasn't new by then, feeling similar to Ninja Gaiden and Batman, but Kabuki Quantum Fighter is still a solid title. The music similarly has that same sound when compared to those titles. They're very up-tempo, percussive, and lots of 16 notes flying around all in the melody. This is another soundtrack with one goal: to get your adrenaline pumping while on adventure. Bright major keys with lots of little sound bits and arpeggios to tie into the fighting inside a computer program theme. The music is credited to a few composers: Masaki Hashimoto, Takashiro Wakuda, and possibly a T. Hayashi. So I'm not sure who exactly did what, but the team created a great soundtrack. Last on this list is Low G-Man, another action title that takes place in an odd and a bit convoluted of a futuristic setting. Developed by Kid or Kindle Imagine Develop and released by Texan in 1990 in the US. The hero of this game has an incredible jumping ability, hence the name of the title, the Low Gravity Man. The soundtrack for this game stands out for being layered, depending on the track including a lot going on in the usual harmony line rather than just having the melody line being mostly repeated as either a step down in the chord structure or an octave down with a bit of flourish. Each track tends to have a very busy leading line, high on the register, which can sometimes sound a bit thin, but the uniqueness stands out either way. It is fast, almost always just a flurry of 16 notes, with minimal percussion to back up that main lead line rhythms. Another soundtrack credited to several composers: Nobuyuki Shioda, Norio Nakigata, and I'm going to butcher this one, Ryota Musashi. The team created something different, but very exciting and energetic here. So those are the 5 NES games I chose for this first video. Please let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions, I'd love to check them out. Maybe they'll make it in a future video. Please sub, like, share, all that kind of stuff. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.